Hello. So I was checking what languages could be good to focus on in the coming years, or even right now, to get the job done, or at least get you the job, right? And ultimately, well, you kind of have to consider popularity. That matters a lot. But there are some better options. Python is popular but fragmented. So, I mean, depending on what you want to focus on, Python might not be the best choice. It's also relatively easy. I'm not saying this as a negative, but it's not something that you have to kind of master. It's just something you can use if you need it. Java is a great choice. It's one of those all-time greats. Well, perhaps not popularity-wise in a way that people like to use it, but in a way to feed you, I suppose. It's a very stable way to get a backend job, and it's complement C sharp, which is a little bit, yeah, it's just kind of holding steady. The point is, Java or C sharp, but Java is so much more popular. I mean, these are the top dogs for the backend, but they're not really growing in a way. They're just like kind of holding steady. The one that's really growing for the backend is Go, and it's one of two languages that's really growing. The other one would be TypeScript, where on the front end it's JavaScript and TypeScript kind of dominates. And there are like options to, I don't know, there's so many options just to give you, well, basically an option, but it really pretty much doesn't matter. You are probably just best off like using React and Next.js and try to just make something happen with that instead of trying to get fancy. But yeah, Go and TypeScript are great languages, and C and C++ is also holding steady, but like there's really nothing to say about these. These are like hard languages, and unless you like master them, you're almost better off just ignoring them because you're just not gonna be that good. You're not gonna be, but it's not gonna be a useful skill essentially. I mean, you might disagree, but even those who like try to master these languages kind of struggle with them. And Rust is the one that's kind of the shiny object right now. And I'm not really critiquing Rust as a language. I think, well, it's kind of hard, no doubt. Well, that's annoying way than C and C++. But I mean, when it comes to its utility, I mean, are the jobs there? And they are not. And for Java, you can even have like Kotlin. So like the popularity is a little bit higher, but it's already pretty damn big. And smaller options are really not that relevant because even Rust doesn't really have jobs, and that's a big problem. But perhaps the bigger problem is that any language that's been around for a long time is more likely to require higher experience. So, I mean, the worst offenders here are PHP and Ruby, which are not only been around for a long time, but they also downtrending. If I can find it. PHP and Ruby? Well, PHP. Yeah. And here you just see like, oh yeah, we need someone with like 10 years of experience and like that's pretty much it. Like, yeah, you have just no fucking choice. Even if you cared about it, that you don't. I mean, when it comes to the future, I mean, it's a good idea, unless you have a better idea to focus on Go and TypeScript, because these ones are growing, clearly. These are the ones that are clearly growing. Otherwise, it's not as clear. It's mostly just holding steady. I guess you just have to wait and see. I mean, the only problem is that TypeScript is just a front end and Go is backend. So mostly backend, I suppose. So these actually pretty well complement each other, even though TypeScript is can be used just anywhere, I suppose. And currently, Next.js, well, one of my favorites, is actually a good way to just get the job done. But when it comes to just next year's jobs, it's not looking that good. So it's mostly going to be React. And that is one part you have to really consider, that, I mean, it's not just the language. It's never just the language. It's always going to be the ecosystem. It's always going to be like, you got to be good at Spring, and you're going to be good at Net. And with TypeScript, it's just ridiculous. Ridiculous. Like, seriously. The ecosystem of on the front end is just, it's just endless. And yeah, I'm still learning it. and constantly learning. And the worst part is that not just like, you know, it's a lot to learn and then you just hold on to it. No. It's always changing. So it's pretty normal to just learn like at least a few new technologies every year, at least. And lose at least as much. Yeah, that's about it. Focus on TypeScript and Go. I don't have a clear idea other than that. But smaller languages, unless you have a good reason, really good reason to use them, just are best ignored. Pretty much. Unless you start out with a purpose. I think that's the most important part. To start with a purpose, I mean, you don't even have to do like TypeScript. You can just use whatever gets the job done. I think that is the main takeaway. Or whatever gets you the job. Just to reiterate a little bit. Alright, that's it, guys. Have a good one.